My parents skipped my wedding because I got married before my perfect sister. Now their carefully crafted family image is finally starting to fall apart. After being together for 4 years, I, a 32-year-old woman, married 8 months ago. Everyone attended, except my parents and my sister, Molin, who is 30. My parents' absence was painful but not entirely surprising. As for my sister, we've never been close, so her decision didn't shock me. Looking back, I should have seen it coming. Let me explain our family dynamic. I can't entirely blame my parents for always favoring Molin. She has been talented at nearly everything for as long as I can remember. From childhood, she drew attention everywhere she went. She excelled at spelling bees, science fairs, and talent shows in elementary school. In high school, she was class president, valedictorian, and prom queen. Tall, slim, and attractive, she pursued modeling in college before completing her business degree. I still remember her first modeling job in her sophomore year. My parents threw a huge party to celebrate, inviting relatives and her friends. They even framed her first professional headshot and hung it above the fireplace, where it still sits. The same year, I earned a computer science degree. Their reaction, a simple "well done," before turning back to Molin's next photo shoot. After graduating, she quickly rose in the corporate world. At 30, she's already a senior executive with a corner office and a company car. Meanwhile, I work as a mid-level software developer. I enjoy my job and find it fulfilling, but it isn't the kind of career parents brag about. On top of that, I'm shorter and heavier than my sister. My mother often made cutting remarks about my looks, forced me into workout classes I never wanted, and put me on constant diets. She would say things like, "Molin never struggles with weight," or "you'd look nice too if you tried harder." I eventually learned to block out the comments, but they left their mark. Over time, I realized my accomplishments never meant as much as hers did. I spent years trying to earn their approval, joining clubs they encouraged, taking classes they suggested, even trying modeling, which was a disaster. My sister still mocks. Nothing ever seemed enough. I was the second daughter, and Molin was the one they adored. By my mid-20s, I gave up on impressing them and focused on building my own life. I worked on my career, made friends who valued me, and learned to keep family interactions shallow to avoid conflict. At holiday dinners or family gatherings, I would just smile and listen as they praised Molin's latest promotion, boyfriend, or vacation. They never noticed my emotional distance because they were too busy admiring her. Then I met my husband at a computer conference through mutual friends. For the first time, someone saw me for who I was. He appreciated my sense of humor, my coding skills, and yes, even my body. He never compared me to anyone else. After 4 years, he proposed in the sweetest way, just us at home, eating takeout with our favorite show in the background. It was perfect. When I told my parents, their silence should have been my first warning. Instead of congratulating me, my mother asked if I was sure and suggested I get in better shape before the wedding. My father barely said anything. At the engagement party, my husband noticed them whispering in the corner over my mother's phone. He overheard them speaking to Molin, who was upset, saying this wasn't the plan. Rebecca wasn't supposed to marry first. Planning the wedding only made things clearer. Even though Molin wasn't engaged, my mother already had Pinterest boards full of wedding ideas for her. She showed little interest in my plans, offering no help in picking a dress or venue. When I chose a simple but elegant A-line gown that made me feel beautiful, she called it practical and suitable for my figure. Thankfully, my future mother-in-law stepped in and helped with everything. I sent invitations to my parents, both electronic and paper copies. I know they received them, as the electronic version had red receipts, and the paper invitations were confirmed delivered. Still, they never RSVP'd. When I called, texted, and emailed, I was brushed off with vague excuses about busy schedules. I couldn't spend all my energy worrying because I had a wedding to plan, and thankfully my in-laws offered endless support. The wedding itself was wonderful. A morning ceremony in a garden followed by a relaxed afternoon celebration. Everyone said we looked happy and in love. But my parents' absence was like a wound. It hurt to see the empty front row seats and to miss the father-daughter dance. After the honeymoon, I called to ask why they hadn't come. My mother accused me of not sending an invitation. She claimed she had always dreamed of helping plan her daughter's weddings and said she couldn't understand why I had left them out. I reminded her we had proof of both invitations, but I didn't argue further. Instead, I apologized just to end the call. Later, my husband pointed out the pattern: their lack of congratulations, their refusal to help with planning, their secrecy. It was all because they couldn't accept that I, the less favored daughter, had married before Molen. In the end, it confirmed what I had always known but never wanted to admit. I will never measure up to my sister in their eyes. What hurt the most was realizing that even my wedding day, which should have been about love and new beginnings, became just another battle in their fight to preserve the illusion of a perfect family, with Molen at the center. Molen recently became engaged to someone she has been dating for a year. From what I hear in family group conversations I'm not part of, my parents are thrilled. They are already making plans for an elaborate wedding, talking about luxury venues and designer gowns. My mother has even been taking Molen to private fittings at exclusive stores, the kind of mother-daughter experiences I was never given. Interestingly, several family members have chosen not to attend her wedding or engagement party. My parents' behavior at my own wedding has apparently become a topic of discussion. When relatives ask why my parents skipped mine, I tell them honestly, they could not handle the fact that I married before their favorite daughter. I don't dramatize it. I simply state what happened. A few days ago, my parents accused me of trying to ruin Molen's wedding. They said relatives were avoiding her events because of things I supposedly said. But my cousin, who spoke with Molen directly, told me the truth. People are reluctant because of how my parents treated me. My parents insist that I'm jealous and spreading lies. But the reality is I've only shared the facts. If those facts make them look bad, that's on them, not me. Their actions during my wedding made one thing clear: I will never be enough for them, no matter what I do. The hardest part isn't their absence that day. It's realizing I never had the kind of supportive parents I always wanted. Now I'm focusing on building a life with someone who truly values me. I'll update you if anything significant changes. First update. 2 weeks after my last post, I decided to meet my parents face to face. I wanted to address both their absence from my wedding and their claims that I had spoiled Molen's, with encouragement from others. I felt it was time to be direct. When we spoke, they immediately accused me of being jealous and planning the entire situation. For the first time, instead of defending myself, I agreed. But in a way they didn't expect. I told them, "You're right. I am jealous. Not of Molen's career, or her looks, or her achievements. I'm jealous of the love and support you gave her, but never offered me." There was silence. Then my mother insisted I was exaggerating, claiming they treated us equally. That moment unlocked years of buried feelings. I reminded them of every time my achievements were ignored, like when my graduation dinner was canceled because Molen had a modeling callback, or when her prom dress cost more than my college textbooks for an entire year. I told them how painful it was to watch them plan her imagined wedding while refusing to help me with mine, and how I had to rely on my mother-in-law for every detail. Instead of acknowledging anything, they turned it back on me. They asked why I never spoke up, as though I hadn't tried for years. My father accused me of being unfair, and my mother went further, saying, "We never thought you'd go as far as to ruin Molen's wedding out of spite, but we always knew you were insecure about her." At that point, I realized they were not listening and never would. Even in a conversation about their absence at my wedding, They were more concerned with Molin's upcoming one. For once, I didn't back down or apologize. I told them, "You did raise me. And in doing so, you made me believe I'd never measure up, that Molin's accomplishments would always be greater, and that your image as a perfect family mattered more than how I felt. But you also taught me, unintentionally, that I deserve better than this." After a pause, my father said coldly, "Maybe it's time to stop pretending we Setra bad parents since you Setrav already decided we are." My mother added, "Perhaps you just couldn't handle not being the center of attention. We always treated you both fairly, Rebecca. You chose to play the victim." I didn't argue. Their response only confirmed everything I had said. I ended the call. Surprisingly, I felt relief. I cried, but the tears weren't set out of desperation. They were freeing. For the first time, I had spoken honestly without guilt. Later, my husband joined me on the porch. He took my hand and said, "They Setra never going to change, but you have. That Setra's what matters." He's right. I have changed. The child who spent years chasing approval is gone. I no longer need their validation. Accepting that my parents will never be who I hoped for is difficult. But holding on to false hope was even harder. For the first time, I no longer care about Molin's wedding or the family drama surrounding it. I said what I needed to say, and now they must face the consequences. It feels as though a lifelong weight has finally lifted. It may not be the happy ending I once wanted with my parents, but perhaps it's the ending I needed. The chance to stop chasing love that should have been given freely. Second update. 3 days after that conversation, things shifted again. Molin decided to get involved, but her approach backfired. Yesterday morning, she sent me a carefully worded message. As always, her tone was condescending. She told me that what I had said to our parents was totally inappropriate. They guided us through every stage of life and provided everything they could. It is unfair to call them poor parents simply because you feel insecure about your own choices. Her message carried the usual mix of moral superiority and subtle digs. She wrote, "I understand your wedding wasn't set exactly how you dreamed it, but that doesn't mean you should try to ruin mine. There's nothing wrong with wanting a celebration that reflects the hard work of those who reach certain standards. Rebecca, not everything has to be a competition." I didn't reply. Over the years, I've learned that responding only gives her more fuel. After putting up with her manipulative behavior for so long, I blocked her number instead. Molin has never handled being ignored well, so I thought that was the end of it. But a few hours later, my husband called me at work, laughing so hard he could barely talk. Since she couldn't reach me directly, Molin somehow got hold of his personal number, likely through a mutual contact, and sent him a long chain of texts explaining why our relationship as sisters had always been strained. Her first message sounded polite enough. "As Rebecca's sister, and as someone who cares about our family, I feel the need to reach out." But it quickly revealed her real intentions. She told my husband he had a responsibility to help me behave more appropriately, since he was now the man in my life. The texts grew increasingly condescending. She wrote about the complexity of family dynamics and implied that with my sensitive nature, I might not see the bigger picture. She urged him to step in and make me see reason before I damaged family ties beyond repair. Her final attempt was the most telling. She hinted that maintaining strong relationships with successful family members, like herself, could be beneficial for his future. According to her, my behavior wasn't just hurting me, it was also limiting his prospects. My husband found the whole thing hilarious. He saw right through her, especially the assumption that her career status or networking opportunities would somehow impress him. As he put it, "She really doesn't know me at all, does she?" That evening, we read the texts together, and instead of feeling hurt, I laughed alongside him. Watching her manipulative tactics fall flat, especially on someone completely unaffected by them, was liberating. I realized something important about my sister. Despite her success, she is still the insecure teenager who needs to bring others down to feel superior. When her direct control failed, she immediately tried to use my husband against me. It reminded me of high school, when she would attempt to turn my friends against me if she couldn't confront me directly. Different decade, same approach. With this perspective, I see that her actions were never just ordinary sibling rivalry. From childhood, she worked hard to remain the favorite, constantly reminding our parents and me of her superiority. She overshadowed my accomplishments and broadcasted my flaws to anyone who would listen. But my reaction has changed. 10 years ago, her words would have crushed my confidence. 5 years ago, they would still have upset me. Today, I find her drama exhausting, but also strangely amusing. My husband's response was perfect. Rather than engaging in her games, he simply wrote back, "Thank you for your concern about Rebecca." As her husband, my focus is on supporting her happiness, not managing her behavior. If you have concerns, please take them up with her directly. Have a nice day. Molin Sepp's reply came quickly. "See, she Seps poisoned you against the family too. Don Sepp say I didn't Sepp try to help. When this all falls apart." Ironically, her attempt to interfere only strengthened my marriage. Instead of creating conflict, she pushed my husband and me closer together. That night, we joked about her texts and even planned a weekend trip. I've come to accept that family is not about appearances or control. It's about standing together, laughing together, and supporting each other. And if someone, even a sister, tries to manipulate you, sometimes the healthiest choice is distance. The wedding drama proved to me that focusing on our own happiness is far more rewarding than engaging in endless family power struggles. Real success isn't about impressing others. It's about making peace with your own choices and surrounding yourself with people who encourage growth. By that standard, I feel more successful than ever. Third update. 2 weeks after Molin's failed attempt to influence my husband, things escalated further. My parents, desperate to protect their image, started calling relatives one by one, accusing me of spreading lies. Their story was that I excluded them from my wedding, out of jealousy over Molin's perfect event. According to them, I resent her because her wedding would be more glamorous than mine. Their excuse was that I sent their invitation to outdated addresses, both physical and email, even though they've lived in the same house for 30 years and kept the same email since it was first created. Thankfully, their efforts backfired. Relatives didn't believe them. In fact, several family members shared their own stories about my parents' favoritism. One aunt even revealed that my mother had pulled similar stunts at other family weddings to ensure Molin was the center of attention. The pushback has been stronger than I ever expected. Important relatives, once closely involved in Molin's wedding, have withdrawn their support. The exclusive venue they secured through family connections may no longer be available. Even a family friend's high-end dress business suddenly faced scheduling issues. At a recent family gathering, things hit a breaking point. When someone innocently asked about my wedding photos, my mother lost control. Out of jealousy, she launched into a rant about how I had changed after marriage and was tearing the family apart. Her outburst stunned relatives who hadn't known the full story, further damaging her carefully crafted image. The irony is striking. Their desperate attempts to preserve a picture-perfect reputation are exactly what's exposing them. The harder they try to make me the villain, the more their own behavior is revealed. Now family members are openly choosing sides. Even my father's usually quiet brother apologized to me for not speaking up sooner. He and his family have decided not to attend any of Molin's wedding events. I haven't needed to defend myself. The truth is doing that for me. Every attempt my parents make to twist the story only highlights their real character. Looking back, I see that years of staying silent for the sake of peace only enabled their behavior. My husband summed it up well. They built their perfect family image on favoritism and manipulation. It was bound to collapse eventually. And he was right, for the first time in my life. I no longer feel pressured to chase their approval or manage my sister's emotions. The weight of their expectations has lifted. Sometimes the best response is to let the truth speak for itself. I'm deeply grateful to this community for giving me the courage to stand firm. Your support has shown me what real family can look like, even when it comes from strangers online. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more real-life stories happening around you.